After what I can only assume Ryan Reynolds thought was a triumphant appearance on Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary, he must not have loved seeing Colin Jost come back to Saturday Night Live last night with a joke at his wife Blake Lively's expense.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds thought SNL would be their comeback. It was their biggest mistake.
Last night on Saturday Night Live, Colin Jost came back live and clearly made a joke at Blake Lively.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds walked into Saturday Night Live thinking it would be a fun, lighthearted moment. They smiled for the cameras, played along with the jokes, and acted like everything was fine. But what they didn't expect? Hollywood, using the moment to humiliate them. Because when Colin Jost torched them in front of millions, it wasn't just a joke. It was a warning.
Then he appeared on Fox News and said he thinks he can still salvage his relationship with President, which is like Justin Baldoni saying, "I'd love to work with Blake again."
Blake wanted Hollywood to move past the controversy. Ryan thought he could laugh it off and make the drama disappear. But instead, they became the punchline. And when Hollywood starts laughing at you instead of with you, you're done.
How's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Now you're poking fun at it. So now it's just a big joke? This whole thing's a joke? This is absolute cringeworthy and they should be ashamed.
Anyone who has watched SNL knows that celebrity jokes are usually playful, exaggerated, and harmless. But Colin Jost's jab at Blake? It was brutal. While sitting at the Weekend Update desk, Colin casually dropped a joke that sent the entire audience into a frenzy. He basically compared Justin Baldoni wanting to work with Blake again to something so ridiculous. It was clear that he was taking a direct shot at her Hollywood reputation. The audience laughed, cheered, and clapped. And Blake? She wasn't laughing. That's when it became obvious. Hollywood was done protecting her. This wasn't just a joke. It was a signal to the industry that Blake Lively is officially untouchable, and not in a good way. It was Hollywood's way of saying, we're moving on, and we're not afraid to mock you anymore. And the worst part? Ryan knew it too.
Did they rewrite the SNL scripts too? Terrible humans.
Ryan tried to act unbothered. He laughed, clapped, and even tried to make a quick-witted comeback. But the problem? Nobody else was playing along. The energy in the room had shifted. People weren't just laughing at the joke, they were laughing at Ryan, who has spent years building his brand on being the cool, funny, untouchable guy, was now the joke. And for the first time in a long time, he wasn't in control of the narrative. Blake, on the other hand, her face said everything. She barely forced a smile, and while the cameras didn't linger on her for long, people who were in the audience that night say she looked furious. And honestly, she had every reason to be. Because when a joke like that lands on SNL, it means Hollywood has made up its mind about you. And for Blake, it meant her career was officially crumbling.
They chose to make the butt of the joke on her, not on him.
Blake has spent years controlling her public image. From her days on Gossip Girl to becoming one of Hollywood's most in-demand actresses, she has always been careful, strategic, and in control of the narrative. But now, that control is slipping. Former Gossip Girl cast members are now coming forward with behind-the-scenes stories that completely change how people see Blake. According to insiders, Blake wasn't the friendly, bubbly co-star she pretended to be. She was calculating, manipulative, and had a history of turning people against each other. One shocking revelation, she allegedly tried to make life on set miserable for Penn Badgley. For years, she pretended they had a friendly working relationship. But now, crew members are saying she actively turned people against him behind the scenes. And that's not all. The industry is also dragging her for what she did to Justin Baldoni.
He kind of had to, being there, which makes me realize and think this was all orchestrated and planned. This was his WME and people getting in and giving Lauren Michaels and Saturday Night Live sort of the opportunity to get them there first, to sort of address it.
Hollywood used to be scared of Blake and Ryan. They were powerful, well-connected, and had the ability to rewrite any narrative. But now, they tried to spin this scandal in their favor, and it completely blew up in their faces. Justin Baldoni was supposed to be the one whose career suffered. Instead, Blake and Ryan are the ones being blacklisted, and if the SNL moment proved anything, it's that Hollywood is no longer afraid to mock them. The question now isn't whether Blake can recover, it's whether Ryan will finally realize that standing by her is ruining him too. Because if he doesn't act fast, he's going down with her.
This shows SNL playing its cards of, yeah, they're clearly, they know Blake Lively is crazy. And given the appearance, she's gonna have this same reaction of, wait a second, Why are you making fun of me? I thought you had our back, Sarah Live. What's going on?
For years, Blake Lively was one of Hollywood's golden girls. She had the best PR team, the right connections, and a reputation that made her untouchable. But now, that protection is gone. After the SNL humiliation, people expected at least some of Blake's powerful friends to come to her defense. Maybe an A-list actress would tweet something supportive, or a director she's worked with would speak out. But instead, silence. Not a single major celebrity, director, or studio executive has defended her. No one is writing articles about how she's being unfairly treated. And in Hollywood, silence is the loudest message you can send. Actresses who once called her their best friend are suddenly dodging questions about her. Talk show hosts who used to invite her on to promote her projects aren't even mentioning her name anymore. And industry insiders are saying that Blake's name is being left out of casting discussions entirely. According to one Hollywood source, she went from being in demand to being a risk. No one wants to take that chance on her now. It's the same pattern we've seen before. When Hollywood decides you're not worth saving, they don't fire you. They just stop calling. And Blake? She's realizing that her phone isn't ringing anymore.
Look at Colin's face! Because again, Colin is now married to Scarlett Johansson, who Ryan Reynolds allegedly, the rumors are, cheated on her with Blake Lively.
Ryan has always been one of Hollywood's most likable and marketable stars. Studios trust him, brands love him, and fans see him as the charming guy who never gets involved in drama. But now, he's right in the middle of one of Hollywood's biggest PR nightmares. At first, Ryan tried to play it cool. He made a joke about the scandal on SNL. He kept smiling for the cameras, and he acted like none of this was affecting him. But after the way that joke flopped, he's realizing that he's officially losing control of the narrative. According to insiders, Ryan is now in full-blown crisis mode. His PR team is scrambling behind the scenes, trying to figure out how to separate him from the scandal without making it look like he's abandoning Blake. Because here's the problem, if he doesn't make a move soon, his career is going to take a serious hit too. And that's not just speculation. Major brand executives are now having private conversations about whether Ryan is still safe for their partnerships. One Hollywood business insider even said Ryan's likability is his entire brand. If the public turns on him, his business empire collapses overnight. What's worse is that Ryan's Deadpool co-stars are reportedly uncomfortable with the backlash. Marvel has already been dealing with enough drama with recent controversies, and the last thing they need is their biggest upcoming movie being tied to a messy celebrity scandal. So now, he has a choice to make. Does he stay loyal to Blake and risk being dragged down with her, or does he start quietly pulling away to protect himself? And if Hollywood history tells us anything, men in his position almost always choose their career.
Her playing, why? Was there something wrong? Yeah, clearly, guys, the joke didn't hit. The joke didn't hit.
Blake's team knows she's losing the public, and in a last-ditch effort to fix her image, they're trying to reframe the entire scandal. Sources say her PR strategy is shifting. Instead of ignoring the backlash, Blake's team is now trying to spin the narrative that she's a victim of Hollywood sexism and unfair media treatment. They want the headlines to say things like, Blake Lively is the victim of Hollywood's double standards. Blake Lively is being punished for speaking out. Why women in Hollywood are held to a different standard. But here's the problem. Nobody's buying it. People aren't mad at Blake just because of the lawsuit. They're mad because she got caught manipulating the media, faking evidence, and playing dirty behind the scenes. And even Hollywood isn't falling for the sympathy act anymore. One insider said, Blake thinks she can PR her way out of this, but the industry already made up its mind. She's done. The Gossip Girl cast members who are now exposing her for being manipulative on set, the directors who are suddenly leaking stories about how difficult she was to work with, none of that is a coincidence. Once Hollywood smells weakness, they attack. And the worst part, even Ryan might not be able to save her now, because if the industry is already moving on from Blake, then Ryan's next move is clear.
To be perfectly honest, and more honest, but it's nice to at least see them admit, yeah, no, Justin Baldoni's never working with Blake Lively again. And notice, this joke could have been the other way around. That's like Blake Lively saying, yeah, I want to work with Justin again. They chose to make the butt of the joke on her, not on him.
Ryan is officially out of time. The evidence is out, Hollywood is turning on Blake, and the pressure is mounting for him to make a move. For weeks, he stood by her, defending her, cutting off Baldoni, and even joking about the scandal on SNL. But now that the truth is coming out, he's realizing that staying loyal to Blake might ruin his own career too. Ryan isn't just an actor, he's a brand. He has billion-dollar business ventures, massive sponsorship deals, and an upcoming Marvel movie that Disney is banking on. And the one thing brands and studios hate more than anything is bad press. Hollywood insiders are saying that some of Ryan's biggest deals are now being reviewed. That doesn't mean he's getting dropped yet, but if the public starts seeing him as complicit in Blake's lies, those brands could start quietly pulling away. And Ryan, he knows it. His entire career is built on being Hollywood's most likable star. Fans adore him, studios trust him, and brands see him as the ultimate safe investment. But with each passing day, his name is getting dragged deeper into Blake's mess, and the risk is growing. One branding expert even said, Ryan's biggest selling point is his clean image. If he loses that, he's no longer a safe bet for studios. The problem is that Ryan has already tied himself too closely to Blake's narrative. By defending her so publicly, he made himself part of the scandal. Now, if he tries to walk away, people might say he's abandoning her. But if he stays, he risks his entire career crashing alongside hers.
She's never hosted, he's never hosted. He appeared once as a guest star, but the fact that they're there to me on this show of all shows felt very forced.
And it's not just Hollywood watching, Marvel executives are reportedly getting nervous too. The timing of this scandal couldn't be worse for Deadpool and Wolverine. It's supposed to be one of the biggest movies of the year, but instead of hyping up the film, Ryan is caught up in endless drama about his wife's lies. Insiders say Disney isn't happy about the negative attention. Marvel has already had a rough few years, and the last thing they need is for their biggest upcoming movie to be linked to a messy celebrity scandal. Sources say that while Marvel isn't making any drastic moves yet, they're watching closely. Ryan is supposed to be the face of Deadpool for the foreseeable future, but if his name continues to get dragged into the Blake controversy, Disney might have to rethink things. That's why some people believe Ryan's team is already working on an exit plan. He's not going to break things off immediately. That would look bad, but he's going to start distancing himself in small ways. Some sources even claim he's been quietly taking meetings about his next solo projects, something he hasn't done in a while. If true, that means he's planning his future without Blake, and that would be the final proof that Hollywood is done with her.
You're despicable and a massive hypocrite.
Blake has spent years carefully curating her perfect celebrity image. She was stylish, scandal-free, and one of Hollywood's most bankable leading ladies. But now, that image is crumbling fast. The biggest warning sign that Hollywood is done with her? Studios are already looking for her replacement. According to insiders, several projects she was attached to are now being quietly restructured. Some of them are reportedly on pause, while others are actively considering different actresses for lead roles. And in Hollywood, that's basically code for getting pushed out. One producer even said, "She's not worth the risk right now." Studios don't want to deal with this drama. And it's not just the film industry. Fashion brands are also backing away. Blake has been a favorite in the fashion world for years. But now, some of her biggest brand partners are staying quiet. They haven't publicly dropped her yet, but behind the scenes, they're already looking at other stars to represent them. Once Hollywood starts looking for the next it girl, it's over. The moment studios stop seeing you as a bankable name, your career fades fast. Blake thought she was untouchable, but now she's learning the hard way that nobody in Hollywood stays on top forever.
It turns out that Blake Lively was caught on tape talking about how she manipulates people around her in order to take control of the movies upon which she works. Oops!
Right now, Blake and Ryan are at a breaking point. Blake has burned too many bridges, lost too much industry support, and is running out of options. She thought she could control the media, play the victim, and bury Baldoni's career. But instead, she destroyed her own. Ryan is in a different position. He still has time to save himself, but only if he moves fast. If he distances himself from Blake now, he might be able to escape the backlash. But if he stays too long, he risks going down with her. At this point, they only have two options: double down and fight, or cut their losses and move on. If they try to keep up the act, the public will see right through it. If Ryan walks away, Blake is completely alone in this mess. And with Baldoni refusing to settle and Hollywood already replacing her, Blake's career may already be over. So the real question is, will Ryan make his move before it's too late? Because if he doesn't, Hollywood might decide for him. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the latest Hollywood drama.